The final warning. The Galactic Council thought they had full control. For hundreds of years they ruled the galaxy with their laws, their fleets, and their fear. Most planets obeyed without question. But Earth was different. Humanity had grown, strong after centuries of being left alone. They didn't ask for power, they only asked for respect and peace. But the Council never liked that. They saw Earth as wild, dangerous, too free. Still, for a long time, the Council avoided direct conflict. Earth had something other planets didn't: strong minds, fast learning, and a history of surviving the impossible. The Council watched, they planned, and then they made a choice they would soon regret. A small outpost near the edge of human space called Red Light Station was attacked. The Council claimed it was an accident. They blamed pirates. But the survivors knew the truth. Ships marked with Council symbols destroyed the station. Families died. Children were gone. The message was clear. The Council wanted war without saying it out loud. Earth's leaders met in silence. The faces around the table were grim. General Ross, a man known for holding back, stood up and spoke only one sentence. This was the last time. Across Earth's skies, hidden fleets began to move. Ships no one had seen before. Dark, smooth, quiet, and deadly. Built in secret. Trained in silence. The Council had poked the sleeping giant for too long. In orbit, Captain Mira stood on the Yao bridge of the battleship Black Ember. Her voice was calm, but her eyes were cold. Orders confirmed. No more warnings. The message was sent to every human fleet. Strike back. Swift. Silent. Without mercy. Back in Council space, they still believed they were untouchable. Councillor Venn, one of the oldest members, laughed during the meeting. "Earth won't dare challenge us," he said. He was wrong. Within hours, 10 Council patrol ships vanished near the human border. Their last transmissions were filled with static and panic. Something had hit them, something fast, something powerful. The Council grew nervous. They sent scouts. Only one returned, shaking, whispering about human weapons that bent light, armor that absorbed energy, and drones that moved like shadows. The galaxy started talking. Whispers spread fast. Humanity isn't holding back anymore. On a moon, near the trade routes, a station controlled by the Council went dark. When reinforcements arrived, they found it empty. No damage, no bodies. Only one thing left on the main screen. "You asked for this." This wasn't just war. This was a message. Earth wasn't fighting to win. It was fighting to end it. And, somewhere deep in space, far from the Council's reach, a fleet larger than any seen before was gathering. Human ships, silent and ready. Earth's silence breaks the stars. The Galactic Council called an emergency session. For the first time in 1,000 years, every member showed up in person. The usual smugness was gone. Fear had replaced it. Reports were coming in from all sides. Border stations destroyed, communication hubs offline, merchant ships missing. Every attack had one thing in common: no warning, no survivors, and no trace of human ships on sensors. It was as if Earth had become a shadow, striking from the dark. Councillor Venn slammed his hand on the table. "This is terrorism. We must retaliate." But another member, Councillor Frell, shook his head. "We tried to control Earth. We underestimated them. Again." On Earth, the response was colder. They weren't broadcasting threats, they weren't asking for peace talks. Humanity had become silent. Dead silent. And that silence scared the galaxy more than any weapon. Captain Mira sat on the command deck of the Black Ember watching the stars. Her fleet was hidden behind a dead asteroid field, waiting. She received the next target, a major fuel refinery, operated by the Council, located on a moon called Verax 2. "Send the ghost units," she ordered. Ghost units were elite. No ships, just drop pods. Silent landings. Fast attacks. By the time anyone noticed, the mission was done. On Verax 2, The refinery workers spotted nothing unusual. Then the lights flickered. Security systems failed. Within minutes, all control, rooms were taken over. The humans didn't kill anyone. They left the workers tied up. And one message flashed across every screen. Next time, there will be no survivors. Back at the council headquarters, panic spread. The council tried to rally its own fleets, but many soldiers didn't want to fight Earth. They had seen the reports. They had seen what happened to stronger fleets. Whole squadrons wiped out in silence. Some captains started resigning. Others turned off their beacons and fled. The galaxy was losing faith in the council. Meanwhile, Earth's network stayed quiet. No messages, no demands, just action. Calculated. Ruthless. On a hidden human base deep in the Andrix sector, engineers worked on a new type of ship. It was called the Stormborn. Not the biggest ship, but fast, almost faster than light. Built for hit and run, made to fight smarter, not harder. General Ross walked through the hangar, silent as always. His eyes moved over every detail of the ship. He nodded once. Launch it. The Stormborn vanished into dark space. No one knew its location, but everyone in command knew its mission. Strike the Council's core. The war wasn't declared, but it had begun, and Earth wasn't fighting to survive anymore. It was fighting to end the Council. The Stormborn unleashed. The Stormborn didn't look like a warship. It had no sharp edges, no heavy armor. From the outside, it looked like a simple scout vessel, but inside it was different. It was a spear wrapped in silk. Quiet. Deadly. Fast enough to vanish between sensor sweeps. Its pilot, Dane, sat calmly at the controls. He wasn't a hero, not a legend, just a soldier trained for one job: strike deep, strike fast, and never be seen. The target: a Council command hub orbiting the gas giant Doral 6. This wasn't just a station, it was a fortress. Shielded, guarded by 5 patrol fleets. No one had ever attacked it. No one ever dared. But Earth wasn't asking for permission. The Stormborn approached using the planet's shadow. Cloaked, silent, and cold, it drifted like space debris. Patrol scanners pinged the area, but nothing showed up. Just another rock. That's what they thought. Inside the station, Council officers relaxed. They laughed, played cards, argued over food rations. They didn't know that a missile had already been fired. The explosion was quiet. Too quiet. No fire. No blast. Just a sudden blackout. One moment, everything worked. The next, total darkness. Then came the second wave. MP drones flooded the lower decks, frying circuits, shutting down defenses and locking doors. Security bots fell still. Lights flickered back on, just in time for the humans to enter. 4 ghost units in black armor stormed the command room. Not a shot fired. They grabbed data cores, destroyed critical systems, and planted a device, a small cube that beeped once, then fell silent. By the time the station sent a distress call, Stormborn was already gone. Not a single life was lost. But the Council knew what the cube meant. They'd seen it before, back during the Reclaimer Rebellion, when Earth ended a war in 3 days with no survivors. That same cube, that same beep, a warning. The next time, there would be no mercy. Panic set in across the galaxy. Trade routes shut down. Planetary governors begged the Council for protection. Civil unrest began to spread on outer worlds. Protests, strikes, demands to end the conflict with Earth. But the Council couldn't stop. Pride wouldn't let them. They believed Earth had to be taught a lesson. So they sent the 7th Armada, thousands of ships. The largest fleet ever moved against one single enemy. A show of power. Earth saw it, and Earth smiled. On a moon called Drift Point, human fleets gathered. Ships of all shapes and sizes, war cruisers, stealth corvettes, and carriers loaded with AI drones. They were outnumbered, outgunned, but not outmatched. Captain Mira stood at the center of it all, hands behind her back. "Let them come," she said. "They wanted a storm. We'll give them one." The storm that shook the stars, the Seventh Armada, moved like a tidal wave through space. Thousands of ships, bright engines burning in formation. Their goal was simple: crush Earth's resistance, end this war in one massive strike. They never made it. As the Armada approached the drift point sector, their sensors began to fail. First, long-range scans turned to static. Then their communication relays went silent. Finally, their navigation systems flickered and twisted, showing wrong coordinates and ghost images. The fleet slowed, confused, disoriented. That's when the first wave hit. Human stealth ships dropped out of nowhere, small, fast, almost invisible. They didn't fight directly. They targeted engines, life support, communication nodes. Precision strikes in and out. The Armada couldn't fight back. They didn't even know where to aim. Aboard the Council warship Lornas, Admiral Krell barked, "Orders. Find them! Return fire!" But his screens only showed shadows. Ships blinked on and off like phantoms in the dark. Alarms screamed across the bridge. One officer turned pale. "Sir, we're being boarded." It wasn't possible. Human ships were still kilometers away. But they had come anyway. In the chaos, human boarding pods latched silently onto key vessels. Ghost units poured in, silent and swift. They didn't aim to destroy ships. They aimed to shut them down. Officers were captured. Engines were disabled. Entire destroyers were left drifting. On the edge of the battlefield, the Black Ember observed. Captain Mira gave a single command: release the Echo Swarm. The Echo Swarm was a cloud of nano-drones programmed to jam, confuse, and overwhelm ship AI systems. The swarm moved like fog, coating ships, crawling into vents, disabling guidance and weapons before anyone noticed. Soon, the once great Seventh Armada was in chaos. Some ships began firing on each other, misled by the swarm. Others tried to flee. Few made it far. Then the final blow came. Stormborn returned. It dropped from warp above the fleet's core, then launched a weapon no one had seen before. A ripple of energy pulsed outward like a heartbeat. No fire, no explosion, just silence. Council ships powered down. Lights dimmed. Systems died. Over 300 warships floated in space, completely shut off. The Council watched in disbelief from their homeworld. Their greatest armada gone. On Earth, the people didn't cheer. There were no celebrations, only quiet approval. This wasn't revenge. This was a warning. Back on the drifting warship Lornas, Admiral Krell received a final message from Earth. A short transmission, calm voice, clear words. "We asked for peace. You answered with violence. Now we answer in silence. There will be no more warnings." The screen went black. End of Part 4. Breaking the Council, the fall of the Seventh Armada sent a shockwave through the galaxy. News spread fast, faster than light. Entire sectors went dark not because they were attacked, but because they surrendered without a fight. They didn't wait for the storm to come. They knew it was already here. In the council chambers, the atmosphere turned cold. No shouting, no speeches, only silence and dread. Councillor Venn stared at the holoscreen. It showed the destroyed fleet. Hundreds of ships, dark, still, powerless. He whispered, "We can't stop them." Others in the room didn't disagree. Some were already contacting human diplomats in secret, hoping to escape what was coming. But Earth wasn't calling. Earth wasn't negotiating. Earth wasn't even talking anymore. Back on the Black Ember, Captain Mira looked at the newest orders. Earth Command had issued a simple directive: strike the seat of power, end it. That meant the Council's homeworld, Orionis Prime. A place never touched by war, rich, proud, and arrogant, defended by planetary shields and the strongest space station in the galaxy. But no shield was built for what was coming. The human fleet didn't arrive in one group. It arrived in fragments. Some ships dropped from subspace near the moons, others inside the system's asteroid belts. The largest warships stayed hidden in deep space. When the Council finally noticed, it was too late. Human ships moved in perfect, Silence. They didn't fire first. Instead, they shut everything down. Communication arrays, trade satellites, defense drones, all dark within minutes. Even the planetary shield flickered. Above the planet, the Black Ember and Stormborn held position. Mira opened a channel broadcasting to the whole system. Her voice was calm, no emotion. This is not revenge. This is consequence. You had your chance. We gave warnings. You answered with blood. Now your time is over. Then she ended the transmission. Orbital platforms were hit with EMP bursts, no explosions. Just silence. The council station was disabled within seconds. On the surface, chaos unfolded. The elite ran for shelters. Politicians shouted orders no one followed. Citizens stared into the sky, watching the stars grow brighter. No invasion followed. No bombings. Just a message dropped into every government terminal, every screen, every news feed. We will not rule. We will not replace you. We will remove what you've become, rebuild with peace, or watch the stars grow cold. And then Earth pulled back. The human fleet vanished like a ghost. No ships left behind, no soldiers on the ground, only silence. But that silence spoke louder than any war. The galaxy understood. The council was broken. Earth wasn't just fighting anymore. It had won. Echoes of a new order. The galaxy had never seen anything like it. A war that ended without full-scale invasion. No mass destruction, no fleets occupying worlds. Just silence, and the crushing weight of what Earth had done. On Orionis Prime, the once mighty Galactic Council was no more. Its leaders scattered, some arrested by their own people, others fled to distant corners of space, hoping to hide from the consequences. The great golden tower that stood as the symbol of council power now sat dark, empty and cracked at the base. But humanity didn't stay to rule. They didn't install a new government, didn't demand tribute, didn't take planets or resources. Instead, they left behind a message, stored in the memory cores of every communication system across the galaxy. Do better, or we will return. The message was signed with a symbol, a burning star wrapped in a silver ring, the mark of Earth's silence. On Earth, there were no grand parades, no medals. The world simply moved forward, quietly, focused, preparing, just in case. Captain Mira returned to Earth Command. Her name was never broadcast, her face never shown to the public. She went back to training others, pilots, engineers, analysts. Her job wasn't to be remembered. Her job was to make sure it never had to happen again. The Stormborn was stored, away. Not scrapped, not displayed, just hidden in a vault under the ice sheets of Europa. Waiting. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, change began to grow. Worlds once ruled by fear started governing themselves. Old colonies formed alliances. Trade networks were rebuilt, not by the council but by the people. On the planet Histara, a young leader named Loma stood before a crowd. No more overlords, no more silence. We've seen what happens when good people do nothing. Let Earth's warning guide us, not through fear but through strength. And so began the era of the free worlds. Not every world agreed. Some still hated Earth. Some feared it. But none dared challenge it, not after what had happened. Earth became a shadow in the stars, watching, waiting, never interfering, unless needed. And that understanding changed everything. Across 1,000 systems, when a new leader rose, they remembered one thing. You can ignore the weak. You can mock the kind, but you never ever provoke humanity. The legacy of silence years passed. The scars of the Council War faded, but the lessons did not. In schools across the galaxy, students were taught about the rise and fall of the old order. But more than that, they were taught about the moment humanity decided to stop being silent. The story was always the same. A powerful empire pushed too far. They broke a peace they never truly respected. And in return, humanity didn't bring fire. They brought silence, sharp, cold, final. On Earth, cities grew tall again, peaceful under the protection of fleets no one ever saw. Defense stations hovered far from the surface, unmanned but always active. Not as a threat, just a reminder. In orbit above Saturn, a new kind of station was built. Not for war, but for peace. It became the hub of the Free Worlds Council, a union of planets that chose cooperation over dominance. No one ruled. No one feared. Every member had a voice. And Earth? Earth only listened. Once a year, a signal would come from the planet. A simple check-in. No demands, no commands. Just a presence, watchful, quiet, unspoken. Enough to keep even the most ambitious systems in line. Captain Mira had long retired, her name never publicized. She lived in a small house near the cliffs of New Zealand, tending a garden. Few knew who she was. Fewer dared ask. But every once in a while, a young officer would find their way to her door, seeking wisdom. She never spoke of war, only of patience, of warning, of peace earned through strength but never pride. In deep space near the dead stars of the old Council Core, the Stormborn remained hidden, sensors still active, cloaking still online. A silent guardian waiting for the day it might be needed again. But the galaxy had changed. There were still threats, pirates, greedy corporations, wild planets. But there was no empire, no one strong enough or foolish enough to test Earth again. And so, among the stars, the name of humanity became legend, not for destruction, not for conquest, but because when pushed too far, they didn't roar, they whispered, and the galaxy listened.